Dear viewers, welcome to the second edition of Nasscom Community Insights Exchange. This is a unique offering from Nasscom Community, which facilitates the exchange of ideas and visions from industry leaders, game changers, and experts across India. In today's episode, we have three such leaders with diverse backgrounds with us. We have Brijesh Prabhakar, Chief Operating Officer at Movate. We have Apratim Mitra, Group Vice President, CBRE, and we had Ajay to join in, but he's not been able to join. But we also have Parikshit, who manages the Nasscom community. So welcome to the show, Brijesh and Apratim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Achyuta. Pleasure to be here.
So the topic of discussion today is an important one indeed. India is rapidly emerging as a significant player in the global AI landscape, driven by its robust digital infrastructure, a vast talent pool, and strong government initiatives. The India AI mission reflects the country's strategic intent to leverage AI for inclusive growth and to position itself as a global leader in the field. AI adoption is accelerating across different sectors in India also, like BFSI, healthcare, agriculture, so on and so forth. However, challenges remain, right? Including a persistent talent gap, concerns around data privacy, quality, need for ethical governance frameworks. Additionally, are we leading in AI as compared to some of the other countries in the world, such as US, China, Europe? Maybe not. And that's my starting hypothesis. So the theme for this discussion today is, what Indian tech industry needs to do to lead in the age of AI. An opening question for all the leaders, both the leaders over here, right? For your respective domain perspectives, right? Where do you think India stands in the global arena when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence? It's open for both of you. And
Apratim, I'll let you go.
Sure.
I'll let you go first, please.
No, sure. At Achyuta, at CBRE, world's largest commercial real estate and investment company, we are at an inflection point of leveraging technology and data at scale with over 1 trillion data points of smart facility management, property management, and investment domains. And how are we leveraging these insights? We are using these insights to drive operational efficiency, unlock new revenue streams, primarily digital revenue, and augment our customer experience. I can call out for our domain. We have got, if I look at some of the staggering stats in our global delivery model, there is a huge percentage of 35 to 40% of global footprint based out of India. For our center, Hyderabad, where I'm located today, is the second largest center globally, and India is our hub for the data insights capability. So in a nutshell, for us, India has the responsibility to lead the world with AI scale workforce, inclusive innovation, and responsible AI implementation frameworks.
Yeah, Apratim, amazing stuff. 1 trillion points. You can become a data broker yourself and sell that data if you want to. And I think that's what this is about, right? If you go back to, by the way, Achyuta, I'm very, very bullish about India's own capabilities, right? I mean, the last 30 years, we have seen multiple S curves, right? It started with Y2K, let's talk about 1998. And today we are talking AI. And in between, we have had e-commerce, we have had the dot-com bust, we have had, cloud coming in, mobility coming in, you name it, right? And we have been in the forefront. But since the question is about India, right, I have two perspectives, right? The first perspective for me is look at it, Achyuta. I mean, we have this number of India exports or, whatever the size of India IT and ITES is roughly about $300 billion, right? I'm just rounding it to a number that's more easy for us to explain. What is this based on? Based on three factors, right? Number one, we produce engineers. We produce them by the bucket loads or truck loads, as the saying goes. But more importantly, it is about this huge engineering force which is able to recreate itself every 3 to 5 years. We upskill ourselves, right? Come what may, we are in the forefront, and I think there's no other country that can upskill itself at this scale, other than India. Not a single country that can produce engineers and upskill them. Now, the third one is, as with every system in the world, there are inefficiencies, right? Think about it. $300 billion, even if I take inefficiency of 20%, it is $60 billion worth of inefficiency, right? You can talk about coding, ITS, anything. If AI is going to take away the inefficiency of $60 billion from an economy the size of India, there are very, very dire repercussions, right? It leads to tremendous amount of stress on real estate, transport, disposable income of people. It's going to be a huge thing, and that's a fear that is actually playing in a lot of people's minds today, right? When we talk about AI, people talk about job loss. Why is that happening? Essentially because of this. So that is one end of the spectrum, which is all doom and gloom. But the good part is, I think this is going to, for services companies like us, right? And I'm representing Movate here. I think we will become more of a technology and non-technology company. And let me explain this to you why. We have believed in building engineers who can code and code well, Python, Java, whatever the languages. That's what we did. But today, with AI coming in and coding becoming a secondary skill because AI can do a lot of the coding, we have kind of passed the Turing test on coding. Today, I think the opportunities to partake in this tech revolution or AI revolution will now open up to people who are non-techies, psychologists, right? Privacy guys, audit, financial people, data annotation, video creators, and I think that's this exciting world. Right. So the question now that we should be asking is, and I go back to the skills program that Nasscom runs, right, the future skills program, it's all focused a lot on AI, and rightly so, right? But I think now the focus should shift to non-IT stuff that is more around privacy. There's all the stuff that, Apratim also spoke about and what you also spoke about, Achyuta. So that I think is the positive impact. So when we talk about the trillions of dollars of potential, I think that's what I think we need to be ready for.
Great. I think that's good opening comments. Moving on to the some of the other questions that we have, right? I think just building on that also. From a talent, and you touched upon it also, Brijesh, but from a talent perspective, India is facing a projected shortfall, is expected to face a projected shortfall over 1 million people, AI professionals by 2027. Even today, there is a 50% demand supply gap when it comes to AI. So how should we approach reskilling, upskilling our workforce? What are specific skills, technical skills, soft skills, freshers, laterals they need in this AI era, and how do we build it? And Apratim, maybe you want to take this?
Absolutely. So, Achyuta, again, my recommendation will be a little bit different in terms of thought process is to democratize AI at scale. What I mean by that is, if I have a full stack developer with a front end and a back end expertise, I want to add two more skills into that full stack expertise around data engineering and AI. To most, it becomes like a all rounder in my cricket team. And what we have done within our organization is we have trained 70% of those software engineers in AI. Recently, we conducted a global AI hackathon, and we had a great success with 50%, more than 50% of our employees participating and building working POCs and demonstrating those amazing outcomes around the art of possibility with the business. So that is how I will probably address the demand and supply gap in terms of skilling, upskilling existing people, because as Brijesh mentioned, some of the jobs will be automated using AI, and you have to utilize the current capacity to a more in a more strategic way. Your next part of your question was around technical and soft skills.
Yep.
For us, the soft skills dynamics is completely changing across the board as our operating model is changing. From focus around design thinking and understanding the customer context, what to automate, kind of intellectual curiosity with the new AI tools coming in, look at a lot of critical analytics with the data that we have, are the probably, I'll say, the three new skills to succeed in this new digital era. And you mentioned a little bit about the fresher, the skills. For a fresher hiring this year, we are moving away from that rote technical interview that we used to do in the campuses to a more hack to hire models with focus around problem solving, collaboration, and storytelling. As our operating model is also switching from to more towards vibe coding, and that basic, skill coding, basic coding skill as a, coding as a skill is becoming more and more commoditized.
Agree. I think that's definitely there, but the gap remains in terms of on particular skills within AI, and we'll have to probably see what else as an industry and academia and government can we come together to make this happen in a more structured manner, because there is a pyramid shift that's supposed to happen because of AI. So I think we have to keep that in mind also. From a technology investment perspective, right? India has a lot of startups, but they don't have enough investments. India doesn't make too much investments. Funding is not very high. So how can we drive adequate private sector investments in building world-class solutions in AI and in AI solutions and products that actually enables human capabilities? And this is a question that I'll open up to both of you. Quick comments.
So Achyuta, I think there are two things, right? One is we talk about investments in technology. We have invested in people all along, right? I mean, we have invested in people for the last 30 years, and that's where we are able to create the kind of talent for the world. But if you look at the technology, our government investments in technology have been tremendously successful, right? Look at UPI, India Stack, Aadhaar, right? I mean, these are living
Yeah.
examples of government-funded technology that is working at population scale. Number one, provides very cheap access to technology, has bridged what used to be called the digital divide, right? Now the question is, what can the government do to do this? The first thing, of course, is, can we get more chips? We've been talking about training, configurations. Chips is definitely one thing, and that is usually the way it is. It's almost like nuclear technology, where government to government, kind of things have to come in so that we have access to these high performance chips. That's one thing. Second thing is, we can go the capitalist way, which is, let the markets figure out who's going to win and who's going to lose, right? And that is anyway happening. I mean, if you look at it, the startups are there working on certain use cases, which is fantastic and is going to happen. But you again look at what the world is doing. You look at the project's target, right, which is this humongous, huge amount of investments being made. You look at what Saudi Arabia is doing, what the US is doing, and it is not just investments in giving people money, right? It's not just facilitating. It is about creating energy infrastructure, right? So I think this was actually taking this to the next level. I mean, if you go back 30 years ago, government infrastructure essentially was BSNL or VSNL at that time, providing you network capabilities, right? And that was the government backbone that all these companies, Infosys, Wipro, all of us, we jumped on that. The question that I have is, can the government today provide us that AI backbone? Right? And can we create the new generation of Infosys, Wipros of the world that will take on companies like OpenAI, DeepSeek, and so on and so forth, right? And I think if whenever the Indian government has created that backbone, invariably Indian companies, Indian entrepreneurs have really jumped on it and have created value. So the other one is the entire Chinese model, very opaque. Nobody really knows what's happening. It is what it is. But I think this model of ours, which has worked for platforms like UPI and BSNL many years ago, I think is probably the way to go, Achyuta.
Yes, completely. I think the need of the hour is to look at the gaps in this whole ecosystem in terms of what to build for the lot of the companies. As we are moving more towards AI, will be everywhere, which is known. So you have to create more persona driven kind of digital assistant kind of an ecosystem. And that is the focus that we are looking at from across our board, to look at persona driven digital ecosystem, look at more intelligent workflows, and look at that kind of a layer around the service layer, where you can easily integrate the services to build an AI platform and move towards and demonstrate that efficiency and agility to deliver for our customers. So I think that those are the elements, just to add to what Brijesh mentioned around. Look at the areas for which is prime for automation. Look at how we can create more standard capabilities products, differentiated digital and AI products for consumption at scale, and demonstrate our value proposition for the world.
Moving on to the next one, customer adoption of Indian AI. I think as an organization, and just building up on what you also shared earlier, Brijesh, that our solutions, are they are they, do they have a global appeal? Are we able to monetize solutions made in India, AI solutions made in India? Do we need to, is there a trust deficit in the end users to adopt Indian solutions? Does our go-to-market need to be anything different? I mean, what do you think? Because you've been selling, customer solutions, AI solutions to the customers for some time.
I think for a long time, Achyuta, you just look at the world, right? Zoho is one great example of breaking that barrier, of breaking the service barrier and getting into products. And they've done
Yeah.
a phenomenal job, right? But how many of these companies are there? If you were to look at the unicorns that is there, many of the unicorns today are a kind of a Me Too version of what has been working in the US. Think of Ola, think of all of this, right? With our Oyo, and these are all, it's an Airbnb clone. So think of that, right? Because I think even today, we are a very services oriented framework. Our outlook is very, very, services oriented. I don't think it's to do with trust, because if trust was the problem, you wouldn't have a Zoho, right? You wouldn't have many of the other companies. Now, again, I think AI basically, I have a feeling, has got the potential for us to go beyond services. For me, that is the biggest thing because AI has the potential to break the cost barrier. We always looked at a cost plus model. Even IT services companies, like most of the large companies and mid-sized companies today are essentially, doing work that somebody else has specced out. So today, I think we have an opportunity to do that, and that I think gives me hope. Which also comes back to my first point, right? AI is not going to be a technology play only, right? Going back to what Apratim also said, right? We'll have to look at solutions more holistically, experience, security, training of data, all of it will have to come together. So I think once that comes in, enabled through AI, I cannot see a reason why we will not have a Claude or a Devin or some of these products, out making global waves.
Sure. So Parikshit now would take over from here and I will drop off. And Parikshit, you want to continue with the next two rounds? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you, Ajita. It was a great beginning. And leaders, I'm Parikshit and I manage the Nasscom community. And I first want to thank both of the organizations for frequently contributing to our community webpage, either in terms of blogs or context, and now participating in this community exchange. First and foremost, thank you so much for that. And now I'll be steering the next part of our conversation, which is diving into how AI is shaping outcomes at a sector level. So, to begin with, I would like to ask Brijesh, you have been working extensively with customers on AI-driven transformation projects. Can you share some best practices from your experiences in executing successful implementation of such AI projects?
Yeah, Parikshit. So, my background is that I've been doing a lot of ML platforms. I've built ML platforms in my life for the last 7 to 8 years, right? And I've seen them being adopted very tentatively, right? Because people don't believe AI. AI is like a black box. You can't see it. Just like how cloud was a black box 10 years ago, nobody expected it to, survive, breaches and security and all that. Today we have gone past that, and I think AI also will evolve that. So in the last 3 years, thanks to GenAI, I think we are finally getting into that phase where we are moving away from proof of concepts into more production grade, enterprise grade, secure solutions, right? And in my own company, Movate, and I've just joined it recently, we have some of the biggest names using our solutions, right? And I'm talking about companies like Microsoft and so on and so forth, right? So we are able to make that impact. So the good thing about this is it has leveled the playing field, right? You don't need to be really big or small. If you have an idea that can take it to life, bring it to life, I think it works. So three things that I have. Number one is be extremely cautious about AI, right? It's a double-edged sword. It can do amazing stuff, but it can also break trust extremely, very, very quickly, right? One mistake, all it needs, right? I mean, just giving you an example, there are hundreds of accidents in the US, but when a Tesla, meets with an accident, that it comes on news, right? We expect machines to be perfect. They are not. Second one is, I think the entire idea of data, right? I think data is probably, and I again go back to what Apratim said about 1 trillion data points in this company, right? I wish I had access to that kind of data. It's phenomenal. It's extremely data rich. but data will drive a lot of what we're talking about. And the third one, of course, is talent, right? It's hard to find, it's even more hard to do systems thinking. It is not about creating a chatbot. A chatbot is a very small thing. In fact, I've come out of this entire mindset that we need to create chatbots that can answer questions. So I think if you can look at these three items, in conjunction, you probably have a better bet of making AI real to your customers. I hope that answers
Very,
your question, Parikshit.
very, very nicely put, Brijesh, and glad you shared some examples of Tesla as well for giving a real example of how that impact is going to look at. So thank you so much for sharing your insight. I'll move to Apratim. Apratim, with respect to GCC and infrastructure, I would like to ask you a question. And the question is, GCC workforce in India is expected to reach 2.8 million by 2030. Now that's a huge number. How do you foresee AI transforming the GCC operations, including new job categories and elevated value proposition?
So, Parikshit, for GCCs like ours, it is transforming from the execution centers to strategic innovation hubs,
Mhm.
anchored by essentially three things: differentiated talent, sustainable value creation, and innovation arbitrage. Within our center, we have a unique opportunity to partner with our India business to build differentiated digital and AI products, and then work with our global stakeholders to scale the so-called Make in India solutions to the entire world. And we have demonstrated it at large, building platforms like workflow platforms, working very closely with the business. It is like building a platform by the business for the business, demonstrating that collaboration and scaling it up. Second thing is, within a GCC, there is again, the entire operation runs under one roof. So it is very easier to drive a lot of the kind of standardization initiatives. Right now, our entire organization, our entire software development lifecycle is fully AI enabled. It's a big thing, fully AI enabled. And we are making sure that all of our employees are adapting to this, using AI for the entire software development. And that is unlocking tremendous amount of productivity. Again, to do all of this is very transformational, requires very different kind of skills beyond the data scientists or who are experts in AI ML. Requires the prompt engineers, look at data governance professionals, visualization engineers, because you have to put this AI, outcomes in a nice kind of a user interface. Domain expertise becomes very important because AI is a place where domain and technology really intersect. So you have to understand the real opportunities of automation that and which AI can do for the business. Look at product managers to be trained on AI so that they understand and can reimagine a business process using AI. From a security standpoint, security professionals knows how to do better, AI model governance and emerging AI risk. So we need a host of new skills to lead us in this AI first transformation, and a lot is riding on the GCCs to drive it for the broader global enterprises.
Thank you so much, Apratim, and very nicely explained. And we are at the very right moment or at the right time where GCC is emerging and India is becoming the center for expansion, and the growth is humongous. With respect to that, Apratim and Brijesh, I would like to just give a heads up that recently at Nasscom Insights on our LinkedIn, we have conducted a poll with respect to GCCs, and we are asking the larger audience that by 2030, we aim, or Nasscom aims, of having at least 2200 plus GCCs. So now that is the aim that we have. But what is the challenge, or what is that roadblock that is coming in between to not grow up to that level? Is there some questions and opinions that we have mentioned, options? You can go at any time on our NASCOM Insights page and you can cast your vote and share your comments as well. Whether is it talent pool, adequate talent pool, or lack of GTM strategy, or policy support. So whatever you feel right, that okay, that could be the reason that we might not reach 2200 or something, you can share your opinion. So yes, I think the discussions have shaped very well, and you have been explaining in the most easiest manner anyone can understand for a larger audience as well. I would like to ask one question as a closing call, which will be for both, and I would like to ask it with respect to what is your top recommendation that you feel would make the biggest difference in helping Indian tech companies and professionals completely, or I would say compete globally in this AI-driven economy?
Mhm.
So you can, I mean, I can start with Brijesh first. Brijesh, you can share your points and then over to Apratim.
See, there is no silver bullet for this, but let me attempt in giving a framework. In 1960, Tokyo hosted the Olympics. It was the first time a country that was torn apart by Second World War, came in. It was the first time Olympics happened in Asia, right? They decided to build a transit system, right, which is essentially a train system, right, between two places. And they did not just build a fast train, right? And I'm talking about the Shinkansen, the bullet train. They reimagined every aspect of transport. The station was remodeled, the train lines, on which the train runs were made of steel without brakes. So it was a continuous steel. The engine itself was completely changed to complete electric. The pantograph that collects electricity from the wire that brings it down, to the motors was changed. It had to withstand much more forces because it's going at a much higher speed. The aerodynamic nature of the train had changed. So essentially, what did they do? They did not build a fast train. They built a system on which a train could go. So, and I think AI is something like that, right? AI is not about, one app, one chatbot, one co-pilot, something fancy, no. This is We have to look at AI as a system of systems. So whether it is 2,200 GCCs or 10,000 GCCs, right? Today we are talking about GCCs and all of this, right? All some of the discussions. It always starts with, I want to put up a 500 people GCC. And that for me is putting the cart before the horse. Why? Because I would like a customer to come back and say, you know what, my KYC today is taking 5 days. I want to solve it using a GCC that can do it faster, better, cheaper. So for me, the business problem is what we should be doing. And I think our narrative, if it were to shift from people, which is all the stuff that we've been talking about for a long time, to actual solutions, to actual solving problems, I think that ecosystem will not be 2,200 GCCs. It will probably be the GCC hub for the entire globe for companies anywhere in the world. And I think that should be the vision in my view, Parikshit.
Great pointers again, Brijesh. Thank you so much. And Apratim, over to you. Your closing notes, please. What would you like to recommend?
Absolutely. Thanks, Parikshit. And I agree with Brijesh completely what he just mentioned. I will say the leverage our strengths
Mhm.
of the diversity of our workforce and our adaptability to our advantage at this hour. Zero distance from the customer to understand the automation opportunities. Again, as Brijesh mentioned, move from a coder to a creator mindset to build differentiated AI and digital products. Adopt AI and copilots at scale to unlock innovation from India. I strongly believe our AI-enabled future has just arrived, and it is in our hands to drive the AI-driven innovation for the whole world.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, leaders. It was a great discussion and a little bit of delay in the beginning because our leader could not join. So we'll make sure that next time we do accommodate Ajay and we take out those findings that we actually intended to do so. And apart from that, thank you for your insights and recommendation. At Nasscom Community, we will continue to explore this theme, and this was the second edition, and we hope to have more such editions. And we welcome inputs from everyone, the larger audience of 60,000 plus members who are a part of our Nasscom community. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel of Nasscom Insights, and we will look up to for next discussions. Thank you so much, leaders. It was great discussion with you.
Thank you,
Thank
Parikshit.
you.
Thank you, Pratham. Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Brijesh. See you. Bye-bye.